Hello YouTube, this is David, Georgia photographer, and today I'm here at beautiful Horsepens 40 and I'm gonna shoot a bunch of photos of the Triple Crown of rock climbing. This is the final leg of this series and I'm gonna try and photo document some of it, get some interesting images, you know, play with the new Fuji some, and basically just explore the boulder field and the camera at the same time. So with that, let's go see what we got. Okay, I had a question about the 30 frame per second high-speed shutter mode and a couple other questions I'm going to try to address today. So I've got it set to electronic shutter and I've got it set to 30 frames per second. Something I've already noticed is in continuous mode it runs a lot slower. In continuous focus mode, there's something going on there, but it does, dude, it will straight rip them off in single focus. Let's see if we can get some really interesting shots in the high speed release mode.
I didn't like the way you did it. I didn't like it. I love it. It sends me like a kid here. Yeah. I didn't like that one. Like another entrance.
Yes, Sierra! Yes!
Come on.
Get in it! Get in the thing! I did the thing! See? Just one more. Just one more and you did it.
That climb is Genesis. The pano mode works like this. You switch the dial over to the panoramic function on the shutter release mode, and then you have the option of selecting the direction that the pano is recorded in, and then you also have the width of the pano from wide to narrow, basically. Less and more is what it says. So it's like the number of frames it captures, and then it stitches them in camera and saves it to the memory card as a pano. And when I was playing with it, as long as you didn't have a lot of motion passing through your frame, it would actually freeze frames really well. But once you started like getting people walking through the frame real close, there would be some distortions, like it would not catch the whole person or it'd stitch them together wrong. But if they was at a distance and you was at a wide angle lens, then it works really well. It works surprisingly well. And it tells you if you spin too fast, if you turn the camera too quickly, it'll stop mid operation. And it shoots probably 20 frames, maybe a few more. So it works really well. So if you're going to use the panoramic mode, it takes a little bit of trial and error to get it figured out. It works fine. You just have to practice with it some. But it does give you some interesting photos. Someone asked about the high-speed shutter. I set it to the 30 frames per second and ran with it a little bit. I literally turned off the shutter sound and the autofocus confirm beep sound, so the camera runs completely silent. You don't know I'm shooting pictures. That's kind of nice because now you get people that are a little more relaxed with me around because they don't hear the camera shutter clicking, so that it doesn't disturb them while they climb. I think I'm getting about that 30 frames per second, but you have to have a high enough shutter speed for it to work. If your shutter speed's too low, then it can't do 30 frames per second. It's just the math. 1/30th of a second would be your slowest shutter speed to get 30 frames in 1 second. Technically, it'd probably be 1/60th, but when I had it on dim light, I had to speed things up. I had to actually crank the ISO up to where my shutter speed would be about 1/250th or so. Then it would work like it's supposed to. It has a plethora of those high-speed shooting menus, and I'll just tell you the truth, the 30 frames per second is almost too fast. Now, if you're wanting to catch a specific moment, like in a lunge to catch a cold, for instance, then it would be handy. But for the normals high-speed modes, it works just fine. I didn't see the value in all those extra high speeds. 30 frames per second will put a lot of photos on your memory card in a hurry. Just keep that in mind. All right, I've set it up for this, let's see what the mode's called, pre-shot. It only works with electronic shutter. You hear that beeping? Is that a bird or?
Bird, yeah.
Weird.
It's a weird bird.
Yeah. Okay. Pre-shot only works with high shutter count and electronic shutter. It doesn't work in any other mode. From what I've read in the instructions, it means that it's taking... Those are birds. Okay. It sounds like somebody's got a whistle blowing it or something. Anyway, what it does is it starts taking frames when you half press the shutter, and it's storing them into the buffer. And then when you press the shutter, it saves some of those pre-frames just in case you fired the shutter just a millisecond too late. And I really haven't been able to get it to do the magic feature that it's saying. And if it is, I can't tell because I'm getting all the shots that I want. So with a high-speed electronic shutter, it's 30 frames per second. It rapidly piles those things into the buffer, and you suddenly have what appears to be a motion picture saved to your card 1 frame at a time. So I really don't like using the pre-shot mode, mainly because of that, because it's just piling photos into the buffer. All right, well, that was the 3 things I really wanted to test today. It was the pre-shot mode, the pano mode, and the high frame rate. And I really like electronic shutter because to segue off of those 3 things, because with electronic shutter, I can turn off the shutter sound completely, and I can also turn off the autofocus confirm beat completely, and people don't even know I'm taking pictures. Like right now, let's see here, this is 30 frames per second. That was probably 60 frames. It's still writing onto the card. Still a little green light. I don't even know if I can get over here. I just done wrote them all. Anyway, it's absolutely silent. It's really neat. It doesn't disturb your subject at all. I like that about it. With that, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when the videos come out, you got to hit the bell, just like everybody says. Until next time, this is David, and I'll see y'all later.
Here we go. It's a little slippery, it's a phone book. 1, 2, 3. Give it a big round of applause. Way to go, Sierra. 2, 1, let's go. Come on. Come on. Oh. Come on. Gotta get those knuckles down. Get the knuckles down. Oh, come on. Oh, it's freaking close. Come on. Can you get the knuckles down? Oh, come on. Can you get the knuckles down? Come on. It's done. Woo! Woo! Let's give a round of applause for both of these, man. Big round of applause, Cody. Thank you guys so much.